What is good, y'all? I'm here to talk about the GOAT, Great Tusk. So, before I get into literally anything that you see on your screen, all of you competitively minded players who are clicking on this video and freaking out, oh my god, he made Great Tusk bulkier. What is he thinking? Holy shit. He took away photosynthesis. What is going on? I highly recommend that you pause the video and read the description. When you're done with this video, you can also check out my other videos. It'll give you a lot more context for how I approach buffing and changing Pokemon. But the most important thing is that this is all balanced for in-game use. It's for a ROM hack where every single Pokemon is reworked and reimagined. As for losing photosynthesis, so Great Tusk, Iron Treads, Slitherwing, and Iron Moth all lose photosynthesis and Quark Drive in exchange for Solar Rush and Volt Rush, which function like Chlorophyll and Surge Surfer, right? So I personally think that's I would argue it's much better, and it's also way cooler because you have three ability slots, and every single Pokemon in this ROM hack is balanced around having those three ability slots to where you're switching between them depending on the use case. So in this case, it's pretty obvious, right? You switch to Solar Rush if you need the extra speed, you switch to Brazen when you need the extra damage, and you switch to Resilient when you need the extra bulk. It's pretty straightforward in this case. In other cases, it might take more explanation for the use cases and all, but it makes a lot of sense here. And if you were to have photosynthesis, it overlaps a lot more with Resilient and with Brazen. I just think it's way more boring. I think because another thing is like Iron Treads and Great Tusk, I mean especially Iron Treads and Donphan are all kind of based around like rolling around, although I'm pretty sure Great Tusk can't even roll around anymore, low-key, but whatever. They're all kind of based around like charging, rolling into the ball, spinning around, that type of shit. So I think them having a speed ability like that and getting that giant speed boost in their respective either weather or terrain is super cool. And Donphan, as you can tell from this text on screen, is now the pre-evolution of these guys, and he has his own entire video explaining all his buffs and changes because they're super awesome as well. And Donphan himself is an optional evolution. That goes for all the Paradox Pokemon in this ROM hack. They are optionally evolving from their non-Paradox counterparts for the most part, besides like the legendaries like fucking, Walking Wake and shit, obviously. Everybody else, though, is an option. So Donphan, despite having lower stats, of course, has tons of use over the evolutions. Of course, the evolutions still have their own uses. It's all up to your own personal preference, your personal play style. It's really, the whole philosophy of this ROM hack is you just use which Pokemon you like more. Of course, there are more strategic ways you can plan out which one to use in a Teamlocked and nuzlockes. You might want the resistances that the fighting type provides. You might want the offensive utility that the fighting type provides. You might want the Solar Rush if you have like a Droughtmon, so it's really easy to get off that Solar Rush. Although Manual Sun is super good as well with Movie Learner. It's really easy to use as well. So I wouldn't, hyperfixate on that only being good if you have a Sunmon. It is way easier to use though if you do have Drought. It is of course much easier, but doesn't make it bad for Manual Sun. Even setting up Sun yourself is good, let alone like Sunny Day Mon, which pretty much most of the Pokedex gets access to Sunny Day for whatever reason. Then you can use a pivot move, whatever. But that point is, I specifically chose Great Tusk, Iron Tread, Slitherwing, and Iron Moth to get these rush abilities as opposed to Quark and Proto. I think that's way fucking cooler, and I think it's also consistent. No, I don't think it is. It is consistent because these two evolutionary lines are the only ones with a future and past equivalent. For example, if you want to really be that guy, you could be like, oh, Miraidon, Koraidon, they don't have photosynthesis Quark Drive, they have their own special ability. So you can kind of argue this is like that, like they get a special treatment because they have the future and the past form. Mostly it's just because all of them are like, besides Treads, all of them are below 100 base speed, and even Treads, without guaranteed speed IVs. I'll talk about that in his video, but, also if you want to know more about Donphan or Treads, again, check out my channel, sub. Also, if you made it this far into the video and you're not subscribed, click that sub button, I would really appreciate it, but, his Brick Break color is wrong. But also, this is not a new move. I'm pretty sure he always doesn't he get Brick Break normally? I feel like I might have messed that one up. Yeah, he does. That was just me. I feel like I fixed that in the other version. Maybe it's because I have two versions. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Point is, he is an optional evolution over Donphan, so you can totally keep Donphan if you want. Yeah, I fix it here. I just didn't fix it on the other sheet. Okay, so yeah, Solar Rush super sick. Again, in Sun, my man, he's just grabbing kills. He's so fast. You don't need any speed EVs. As for the bulk, again, in this context of a ROM hack, first of all, this guy's competing with a Violet Donphan for raw bulk, so that's one thing. Number two, again, it's not competitively oriented at all. The power levels are much higher. The base power of moves are all higher. So having that extra bulk is really good. And also, I just think he fits having like giant HP vibes personally, and also just his SpDef being much better. I mean, 67 SpDef with 131 HP is fucking huge. You know, this guy is so tanky now. He already was in vanilla, of course, but you know, in a ROM hack like this where everything is reimagined, reworked, and buffed, getting that extra bulk is definitely appreciated. I like him being super physical, and I also just think the numbers look nice. That's a lot of, you know, sometimes I really just do it because I like the way the numbers look, and I think the numbers look really good in this case. So, yeah, this guy's the GOAT. Again, for Brazen, you can either run like bulky offensive sets, or you can just slap on a Scarf. It depends on what you need. You know, if you're trying to OHKO like a slower Pokemon, and you know, you get tons of moves that Brazen boosts. So logically, flavor-wise, I guess you could say Brazen is really cool as well. Also, again, earlier, as I was trying to say before I got sidetracked, is that Donphan has speed boost, which you can learn more about that on his video, but that turns into the rush abilities, which I think is super cool, flavor-wise, because, you know, they're all like speed-oriented abilities. Yeah, resilient, obviously very good. You can use that just to tank strong, super effective hits and then OHKO things back. You could also do like some weakness policy crap. Like you could do like resilient weakness policy plus flame wheel, for example, or ice spinner, or trailblaze, or rapid spin, all four of which will give you +1 speed. So you can use those really well to get, again, a speed boost. And then again, Brazen, as you can see on screen, boosts any move. It's from Iron Fist, right? So it boosts any move that drops your own stats. And in this game, there are tons of Draco Meteor variants and a couple more close combat variants, although there's not too many because it is a pretty broken move archetype, especially in game. You know, it's pretty busted. But you've got CC, you've got Mega Horn, and those are both close combat variants. And then Collision Course, as you can read, is an exclusive, again, because Miraidon and Koraidon are obviously not going to be usable in this hack. Maybe not obviously, but yes, they're not going to be usable, so I can tailor these two moves to these two guys, which I think is super cool, you know, with physical Electro Drift on Treads, and then Collision Course on Tusk. So yeah, you get that +1 speed. It's 100 base power, so it is weaker than, it's the same power as Takedown. It's Takedown is 100 base power, you know, very widespread TM, and that deals 20% recoil, while Collision Course deals 50% recoil, and it drops your defensive stats like Close Combat does, which is why it's boosted. So with Brazen, it goes to 120 base power, so it's essentially like Close Combat that deals recoil and boosts your speed. So obviously, I can't understate how strong boosting his speed is. That's why it's level 65, which is the end of the hack, the last couple boss fights. Level 65 is legal for Penny, Clive, and then Elite Four, Jita, Nemona, and Sadatoro. So it's not, I mean, it's, you know, a good handful of bosses, but it's not that long that you'll have access to that. It's an endgame move. But it is very cool and very strong, of course. And giving you that speed boost allows you to then switch move. You know, for example, with Scarf, you can't switch moves, not to mention his item clause, not to mention a bunch of other factors that would make Scarf is obviously very good. You know, for certain boss fights, his role will just be switch in, get a Scarf kill, switch out, pivot around, get another one. You know, that's definitely something you can do. 87 base speed with Choice Scarf in game is incredibly fast. It outspeeds pretty much everything in the game. I can do some checks real quick. If you get a neutral speed nature, you're guaranteed 20 speed IVs in this game on all the eggs. That's what you get for balancing reasons compared to the AI's 31. So yeah, you're hitting 393, dude. You're outspeeding pretty much everything. 130 and above outspeeds you. That's it. Which is, you know, the vast majority of the game is below that. I mean, of course, there will be things that are faster, but most things, if you get a neutral speed nature Tusk, you're outspeeding. So that's great. You got tons of powerful moves. So as you can see on screen, Superpower and Blazing Assault and Giga Impact. All three of those function like Draco Meteor now. They're physical. So you've got Fire, Physical Draco, Superpower, Fighting type Draco. All of those are, well, Giga Impact and Hyper Beam are actually 150 because they're, you know, normal type, and I just think it's cool. But everything else is 140. So Blazing Assault, Superpower go from 140 to 168. Can I do my mental math correctly? I'll just check the fucking sheet. I've done the math before. Hold on. Yeah, 168. So that's super cool. Very, very strong. Of course. So when you need that extra oomph, obviously 131 attack is very strong on its own right, and these moves are already very high base power, but sometimes you'll need that extra oomph, especially, you know, if you got unlucky with like a minus attack nature or something, that would be even better. But in general, it's nice to just get those extra ranges to kill specific things. And of course, those drop your attack after. Meanwhile, stuff like Head Smash, Headlong Rush, Collision Course, Close Combat, Mega Horn, all of those don't. Jar Ball is also unique in that it lowers your speed now, so that could be useful in some niche cases. If you're running like a super tanky Tusk with Brazen, I don't know. Not to mention there's Terra, so you could RNG like Terra Steel or some shit. That'd be kind of funny. Terra Rock, you know, with Head Smash, where Brazen goes fucking crazy. I mean, Terra anything goes crazy in game, which is again by design. You can read more in the description about how Terra will work in this hack. I don't want to talk about it too much here. I don't want to waste time. But another thing for that competitively branded players who listen this far into the video, shout out to you, by the way, if you're new here. I appreciate you. I don't think I even plugged the description on this one, man. Whatever, who cares? Hopefully most of you guys are returning viewers anyway. Sediment, as you guys know, hopefully by now, it's ground type of cover, so that's obviously very good. In game, it's not as crazy as in competitive because it's easier to manage your HP and path. I mean, the games don't last nearly as long, right? So getting that longevity isn't as important, but for certain situations, it's useful. Of course, you can still use him defensively with, sediment, U-turn crap. I did give him access to U-turn. I know that's another thing that, competitively brained players who see this are like, what the fuck, U-turn, Great Tusk, plus 30 bulk. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Hopefully most of you who are listening by now know why this is. And then as for the flavor behind U-turn, it's because of Donphan and Treads. I don't see it as much on Great Tusk, but it's just residual from Donphan, who I definitely do see U-turn on because he's all about like spinning around, like a wheel, like a tire even. It doesn't fit Tusk as well, but I mean, it's just, again, carryover from his evolution, or from him evolving. Yeah, I mean, tons of other powerful stuff. Obviously, defensively, you got like Battle Cry, which I talked about more in the Donphan video because of Battle Armor, but it's still very good here. Strength is just simple rock type double edge, Stone Edge is Wicked Blow variant, Temper Flare is Wicked Blow variant, all these nice powerful high base power moves that you can use for coverage to switch to whenever you need them. Brutal Bash, that's another Wicked Blow type variant that can't be used twice in a row, so it's balanced around Scarf because you can't just spam Brutal Bash with Choice Scarf. You can spam Close Combat with Choice Scarf, but that's not, that's a little bit more limited of a move. And it's also a later TM, although in this case it's probably around the same level. You get Brutal Bash depending on the path that you take. The average cap for level 7 badges is between 53 and 58, so yeah, mostly around the same point. So I could honestly low-key move Brutal Bash earlier if I want to. I could maybe do that, actually, thinking about it. It's fine for now, though. Beyond Evolution even, but then Takedown becomes kind of mid, so I don't know. It's fine. I'll figure out a spot for it. I will move it, though. Superpower obviously still has use over close combat for that massive base power difference, especially because you're not always going to want to get multiple kills in a row. You might just want to blow something up and then switch out. So that's great. I will find a spot for this. I will. Because even then, like for the fire moves, he still has Heat Crash and Temper Flare, which I would like him to use for a bit before Blazing Assault, but these are more spammable, I guess, so I don't know. I gotta run myself to find a spot for this. Yeah, Collision Course, Headlong Rush, obviously great. Same thing as CC, right? You can spam it all you want, really. Obviously, priority moves and things that are faster will force you out, but not too many things. The main thing that will force you out of a Scarf Tusk, Unga Bunga, is Quick Claw. Quick Claw, single-use consumable item on the AI that'll force you out, of course, because it's going to give them priority over your Scarf, so that'll definitely force you out. But if you end up killing that Mon, and then you can kind of get a couple kills from there, it's very, very strong. Very versatile. For one boss fight, you can use my guy purely defensively. Next boss fight, you can use him purely offensively. Other weird moves that he gets from Donphan are like Encore. He gets technically because Fan P gets Encore, so now he gets Encore. I should probably just paste this right here. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Again, if you want to learn more about Donphan, you can check out that video. This guy's also got some priority, Accelerock, First Impression, not too much. Accelerock again is because they roll around and stuff, so it fits really well, and I think it's cool. They got that rugged, rocky body. Yeah, body press obviously great. But yeah, I'd say Solar Rush is so fucking cool on this guy. I love it. It's so much cooler to me than Photosynthesis, dude, because I should have elaborated this more on earlier in the video, but basically, like, with Photosynthesis, you're using it for attack, which Brazen kind of does already, and you're using it for defense, which Resilient kind of does already. Obviously, getting a raw defense boost is better than taking less from super effective hits in a lot of cases, but I just overall think Solar Rush is more useful, and I think it's cool to have that, setting them apart from the other paradoxes. I think it's cool, so that's the main reason I did it, and it is better, in my opinion, to get that double speed versus, a little bit of an attack or defense boost, when those stats are already very high to begin with, So, yeah. Thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, shout out to you. I appreciate you very much. Leave a comment down below if you did make it to the end, and I'll be back for more coming up. Peace.